Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Kronos here. Just going to recap 3 trades that I took today on Thursday, April 9th. Kind of explain why I took them, what made sense to me when viewing price, and how I came out today with 3 winning trades. So starting off on the daily chart for indices, we can see the previous day on Wednesday, huge bullish move with war news going on. So nice huge move. We're also moving away from a weekly cycle that's been formed down here on Tuesday, taking out Monday's low with sequential SMT, blasting us off on the day open for the Wednesday candle. So I'm looking at what did Wednesday do in terms of price and closures, so I can determine what am I going to expect for Thursday going into the day. So Wednesday obviously closed very bullish, so I'm automatically looking for a bullish move on Thursday. So my bias is for longs with a low-hanging fruit objective of previous day high. If we flip over to ES over here, same thing, same exact bias for the day. So dropping down to my 15-minute chart for my daily cycle, let's actually go back to the weekly cycle. So obviously I'm going to drop down to the daily cycle here, but why? Because I don't expect price to come all the way back down here for this low. So there's no need for me even to be on the weekly cycle chart. Just might as well start with the daily cycle and go from there. So obviously after a huge move, I'm expecting overnight to be a little bit range bound, and then hopefully in the morning for the New York AM session we can either get a sequential SMT either between the London lows or London taking out Asia lows overnight for me, so that I can get a continuation on to previous day high. So that's kind of my setup for the morning, what I'm expecting to see. And as we see here, we do get that sequential SMT here prior to the news release, with 8:30 news coming out to the New York session. So already I'm looking at this to be bullish. This sequential SMT also created a fair value gap as we play this forward. So it's showing me we are pretty bullish here as well. Not only that, we manipulated the defining range as well with a sequential SMT below the defining range. So confidently I'm looking at this 2 to 2.5 deviation target, which lines up perfectly with previous day high sitting just above that. And over in YM, same story, previous day high sitting up here, just above the 1 standard deviation. So pretty achievable target for me overall for the morning session. Letting price play out for just a little bit here. Here's the news release here, which also creates a daily cycle to go lower. But I'm not really trusting this based on the candle closure that we have being so bullish, but it does leave me to be a little bit cautious. But we can see it did tag the fair value gap here, and also closes a PSP. So we have a bullish candle here and a bearish candle on YM. Continuing on, as we get closer to the New York session, we already begin to distribute, again showing that we're above the high over here and failing to make it above this high over here. Continuing forward a little bit more, we come back down, tag the TCISD, and rip higher. Fortunately, I was at work. I was busy at the moment. I wasn't able to get this entry. So I was looking for a continuation entry after this, especially after seeing prior to 10 a.m. start to move us back down into the range. So I was confident perhaps maybe we could take out this low over here as a nice objective and create a 90-minute cycle here for us to be able to take this higher. So I'm just going to clean up the chart here just a little bit. And so now what I'm expecting here is again for this candle to start making its way down. So at this point I'm dropping down to a 90-minute cycle, and I'm just waiting for this low to get taken out. We eventually get there, but then of course 10:30 is just a few moments away, so I might as well wait rather than taking any early confirmation here to see if we want to rerun this low and knock out anybody early long here. We do end up coming down to drop out and take out that low. So now I'm just waiting for a closure above this to see if we are going to be bullish after manipulating the 90-minute cycle defining range. And again, where can I confidently target? These equal highs up here, 2 to 2.5. And of course over here, we can easily target previous day high, I believe. So playing price a little bit more forward, we do get that closure above here on MNQ. So we can go ahead and mark this out as our TCISD candle, and we could take our entry there. But of course this is the weaker asset, so I'd preferably rather take YM as my trade, or ES. ES closes above pretty heavily, but still YM is still struggling to close above this TCISD candle. Now, why am I actually looking for a trade in here? As you can see on the 90-minute cycle, how bullish YM is appearing to be here. But also, if we drop to the 1-hour chart, where are we at in price? We're still inside this hourly IFVG that we've closed above. So I wouldn't expect this candle to drop us much lower here. We're respecting the inverse fair value gap. We've already taken the low of this prior candle here on MNQ, so I would like to see us reverse from here if we are going to be bullish. I'd rather not see it come down any lower. So carrying on a little bit more, I'm waiting for this to confirm the TCISD. We drop even lower, but that's okay. We're also remaining bullish on the other assets. So at this point now that we've come below this low, but we still have this low intact, I'm dropping down to a microcycle to see if I can get in even earlier in this entry. Going forward, we can see NASDAQ begins to become very bullish. ES follows suit as well, so I'm expecting YM to play catch up here and also flip and be bullish. But I need it to, one, confirm this 90-minute TCISD, but also possibly even create a microcycle here for me. So running forward a little bit more, here we finally get that microcycle. And in anticipation of this move, if you look at my screenshots on Instagram or Twitter, you'll see I actually entered the move somewhere over in here. Just because NASDAQ and ES have now created fair value gaps along the way up from this 90-minute TCISD. So I'm confident that this should hold. Confident that this should hold over here, but where's a safe stop in here for me if I'm entering in here early? Well, again, remember that IFVG. I decided to place my stop at this IFVG low on this candle here, which gave me plenty of range to get up to previous day high. And also, if we are bearish here and we're going to take out any low, it's going to take out this candle low. I would assume this candle here that closed off the IFVG would be a protected low. And that's also what we see on our 15-minute time frame, our daily cycle that came and tagged that TCISD. I'd like to see that low remain intact. If we go back to our 90-minute cycle, it's this same low right here. So I wouldn't expect us to run all the way down here, because then that invalidates that 90-minute cycle to begin with. So I'm confident that this low should remain intact, the IFVG low should remain intact, and I should be able to trade away from here. Even if I'm in a bit of drawdown for the moment in this trade, I'm okay with that. I'll take my early entry. But then of course we create a microcycle here, and we eventually close that off right here, confirming it. So now we have a TCISD from the microcycle, which is about where my entry was anyways in this trade. And of course, as we play this out, we can see that yes, this did go, and there was a little bit of news that came out from Israel about the war, and of course that huge spike candle there. So once that occurred, I knew we would take previous day high. I was able to go break even and move my stop into profit here and just wait this out until it did take previous day high. And that's exactly what happened about another 20 minutes later. And here we are. I was out right here just below previous day high because I like to give it just a little bit of wiggle room just in case it decides to create a failure swing for whatever reason, or some other news tweet comes out that knocks me out and doesn't allow me to finish my trade. So a nice trade here, 4.5R, 258 points on the Dow in micros. And so just beautiful delivery here, and excellent trade, sticking with the bias of longs for the day, targeting previous day high. Of course, this was supposed to pass a challenge for me, but I miscalculated just a little bit, didn't put on enough contracts, so I was about $65 short. So I needed another trade today. which is okay. I'm able to hunt around and find another trade. Of course, at work, so now I'm waiting till a little bit later in the day. So letting price play here just a little bit more. As noticed, as we come into the lunch or PM quarter of the day, we reached the 2 to 2.5 on our daily cycle. We're well above it over here, reaching 4 standard deviations. So it's an area I can expect to see some retracement back into this range here. If I drop down to my 90-minute cycle, also where have we reached from the previous 90-minute cycle quarter? Well, we're above 4 standard deviations. We've reached previous day high, which is an area of extreme premium. Same over here. We're well above 4 standard deviations on the 90-minute cycle. We need some retracement here as well. If we look at our hourly chart, what do we have sitting below us? An hourly fair value gap right here. So looking at NASDAQ to be a little bit weaker here, it's the pair I decided to go ahead and grab that quick scalp and get that last little bit to pass the challenge that you saw in the video from the other day about the P&L there. Moving down to my 90-minute cycle, I can see that we create a sequential SMT here. If we look at our 30-minute candle closures, what do we see? Candle takes the high, closes back in the range. Takes the high, closes back in the range. We can assume we're going to be bearish for the next candle. To where? Well, to a minimum, this candle is low. Low-hanging fruit objective, right? Switching back to my 90-minute cycle, as soon as this cycle appears, I'm already hunting an entry. I assumed I don't want to get in on the 5-minute TCISD because that's already so close to the candle that I could reverse from. Potentially, if they left this gap unfilled for whatever reason. I don't expect that to happen, but I'd rather just get in earlier and possibly just take a quick stop out, right? Because I'm still going to have to take one trade in order to pass this account anyway, so I'm willing to risk about $40, about 21 points, just to make a quick 33-point move past my challenge pretty quick, down to this low. So I dropped down to the 3-minute chart, which you can use in conjunction with the 90-minute cycle. And as soon as this candle confirms for me, the one that creates this sequential SMT, I'm willing to slap on my trade, right? Next candle confirms, I believe. There we go. We confirm right there. I enter short on the following candle. Tags me in. Already begins to move lower, and I'm only targeting just this low, just slightly above it, so I can get enough to pass this challenge. We come back in for another tag, and then immediately rip down, and I'm out in just a few moments. So about 10 minutes or so I'm in this trade, and immediately I'm out. Past the challenge, we're done. That was trade number 2. Quick little scalp. And of course, this plays out just a little bit further into the range, eventually tagging into this hourly fair value gap, creating another 90-minute sequential SMT out of it. But at this point, I'm done with indices for the day. Overall, the draw has been met here for previous day high. This large box over here is a weekly fair value gap here that we could potentially target into for the next day with CPI if we want to hit that. We'll see how things go, but I won't trade for CPI today. I'll just let the day go. I'm already heavy up in profit on the week. So one more trade here on gold, and we'll go ahead and bring up silver as well, and we'll kind of explain why I'm in this trade, what trade I expected to get, and kind of where we're coming from. So if we look at our daily chart, we've been overall pretty bearish on gold over the last week or so, the last couple of weeks, but coming into this range again, trying to fill in some of these gaps here. So if we look at our weekly cycle, what have we done so far? Well, again, we notice war news here as well, pumping us higher. But we have a weekly cycle here on gold from Monday to Tuesday that formed and pushed us off very aggressively into the 2 to 2.5 standard deviations just immediately on that day, which is great to see on gold. But we also have this daily fair value gap sitting up here. So I'm confident we can possibly make another move up into that here from Thursday into Friday. So that's what I'm looking to target. And if we look at our daily chart, looking at Wednesday's closures, I know this can get a little bit confusing for most, but let's just play through where we're at and take everything into context so we know what's going on. Well, Wednesday's took Tuesday's high and closed back in the range, bearish. Silver, on the other hand, took Tuesday's high and closed above, showing continuation. If we look at platinum, which I like to use for sequential SMT, again, we take Tuesday's high and we close above, showing continuation. Switching back over to silver, we also have a bearish closed candle and a bullish closed candle, showing a daily PSP. So what can I expect for the next day? Perhaps we'll take the low and then distribute higher. Take the low, distribute higher. And that's exactly what we do. That will give me an additional weekly cycle to trade away from. This happens overnight in the Asia session right here, and we close above at 9 p.m. I went ahead and entered long on my CFDs, not expecting it to come back and tag, but it did stick around there for a little bit. We did tag. We filled in some of these gaps over here, so we were back in a discount of this range. Create a weekly cycle. I'm in on my CFD accounts holding this trade back up to previous day high. So coming into the morning session, I'm already bullish based on this information from Asia. If I drop to my daily cycle, the next cycle lower that I can catch from the weekly, I'm looking to see, is there anywhere I can get on side here that we created a daily cycle? Well, I want this Asia low to hold, so the only cycle that I would really prefer to see is New York AM taking out the London lows, and we trade away from there. But by the time we get into the New York session, we're already way up here in price. So I would not want to see us drop that far low to take out the London lows. So my next cycle available to trade would be the 90 minutes. Now I'm dropping into my 5-minute chart. This is the CFD trade that I'm in. And I know some of the GXT traders took this trade as well. I was expecting a tag after we created this 90-minute sequential SMT here between Q3 and Q2 of the New York AM cycle. We manipulated the defining range, could confidently target this 2 to 2.5 standard deviations for a nice quick move. We created this 90-minute sequential SMT with platinum. Both gold and silver are pretty strong out of this move. So I'm just waiting for a tag over here on gold. I prefer to trade gold over silver just because of the contract and position sizing. And I'm waiting for this move, or this TCISD candle, for this move to come down and tag it. We also create a fair value gap, a small one, but still there, off of this move. So I'm confident that this should hold. This should be the low of my morning. Unfortunately, we just didn't get a tag of this. But if you were trading off the 3-minute, it did confirm and tag, and you would have been just fine in this trade. So if we move price forward, once we passed over this high, I didn't want to have a limit set here anymore, just because after that I know we could get some retracement, and I wouldn't want to see price after coming that high drop all the way back down just to enter me. I don't want to be in a trade like that. That's just not very clean. It's likely that it can reverse on you once it returns that far back. So it's just not a trade I would want to be in. So removing that from the screen, looking at my current data now, if we manipulate it in Q2, we distribute it in Q3, Q4 only has a few options left. It could either reverse from there, retrace, or continue, right? So going forward a little bit more until we get to Q4 here. And what do? We see a nice push down, coming very close to that TCISD from the morning, tagging the fair value gap there, tagging the TCISD over here, which is fine because we did hit that 2 to 2.5 we like to see retracement from. So I immediately think, well, if we can inverse this bearish gap that's right here, I would like to see this hold. Well, why? Because if we come down and we create another 90-minute cycle here, it's more likely that we just continue to be bearish rather than being bullish. So I'd rather this be the low that holds. Going forward a little bit more, that's exactly what we do. We close it off just barely there. I wait one more candle. We close for sure right there. I dropped to the 3-minute chart because I learned my lesson from just before. I'm not going to miss this trade. I went ahead and ordered off this 3-minute, or entered off this 3-minute order block right there as soon as we came back down to tag it. It did end up tagging this 5-minute IFVG, but it's a difference of a couple of points, not a big deal. I just have my stop down here just for a quick little 2R below the IFVG low. Because again, I expect this to hold. I don't really want to see it close past these bodies anyways, otherwise it's easily going to take the lows. And I just target up here to about the 4th standard deviation since we've been moving so bullishly. And overall, my target previous day high. But I'm in this just for a quick move. Nice little 2R scalp here. And of course, as you can already tell, we move off aggressively with that war news again, and there we go. In and out of the trade in just about 30 minutes or so. So a nice little quick trade there on gold as well. So overall, pretty good on the day, 3 for 3. Can't complain with that. It's been a nice week. Past that other count challenge I was working on, took 8 trading days, and really nice P&L curve if you saw that on the posts on Twitter and Instagram. But be sure to follow me, like, subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos and educational content coming out. And I've got a lot of great information and surprises for next week coming for you guys, so stay tuned. And definitely share my channel with your friends too so they can see all the nice contents that's being pumped out, learn how to trade, learn from all these tips, and improve their trading too. So again, like, subscribe, share the channel, let your friends know, and see you in the next video. Appreciate you for watching.